You're listening to the Faeries and Folklore podcast by Ronel. I'm dark fantasy author Ronel Janse van Vuuren. With nearly a decade of digging around in dusty folklore books, researching creatures of imagination that ignited my curiosity, I'm here to share the folklore in a nutshell and how I reimagined it for my writing in An Origin of the Fae. This is the Faeries and Folklore podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Ronel Janse van Vuuren. You can just call me Ronel. In today's episode, we're continuing our exploration of the Fae realm. This episode is brought to you by my book, Once, Tales, Myths and Legends of Faerie, available in ebook, paperback and audiobook. Go to ronelthemythmaker.com/my-books for more. We are continuing our exploration of the Fae realm. Today's subject, magic portals and entrances to Faerie. Folklore in a nutshell by Ronel. Most of the time, portals that lead to the eerie, seldom visited and sought after hidden places are called magic portals. Only an elite few even know of their location, which they jealously guard, while some may stumble upon them when the stars align. The truth is that the Fae only really live in Faerie. The places in our world where we can interact with them is only due to the rift which has allowed parts of Faerie to break off and end up in our realm. These places act as portals between Faerie and the human realm. In Wales, fairy rings are quite common. It is believed to be created by the Fae as they dance. Humans and most animals avoid it, but sheep have no issue with it and will gladly eat the trodden grass. Most fairy rings aren't just made up of trodden grass, but also surrounded by mushrooms, forming a nice border. And though there are scientific reasons for some mushrooms to grow like this, spreading in a complete circle, there is no scientific explanation for the person stepping into the ring being transported to Faerie or frenetically dancing until exhaustion or death takes them. Though there aren't many fairy rings in Ireland, it does have countless other portals, hills, hawthorn trees, caves, wells and other sacred places. If one doesn't wish to go to Faerie, it's best to keep curiosity at bay. And now for my interpretation of the Fae. In An Origin of the Fae, the In-Between. The In-Between is a shadow world, a prison. Only powerful Fae can move easily between it and the other realms. Only the Fairy Queen, the Dark King, and the Assassin can accomplish this. Even Anko stays away, but only because death doesn't exist there. Others need special ingredients that come at a price. The first fire given to man by dragons, eternal flame. Water from a sacred spring carried in a special crystal chalice. Wood from the heart of an oak tree. Only a dryad's tree will work. The In-Between takes the life essence from those trapped there, though it doesn't kill them. It slows away their body and soul. Those who are powerful or in great need can communicate with someone close to them on the outside, but it takes even more of their life essence to do so. The In-Between is a cruel place. Fae, led by the Kaichi, have to take the light to the In-Between to keep balance between darkness and light, or all the realms will fall to the all-consuming darkness of the In-Between. Origin of the Fae, the Wildwood. The Wildwood was formed after the rift that tore Faerie to pieces. It is a place neither in the mortal realm nor Faerie. It is filled with magic and wonder. Wild Fae live there. They have changed over time in ways that other Fae hadn't. It is the easiest way to travel between realms, but it is extremely dangerous. Wild magic runs through the Wildwood, but if you can find a copse of trees that connects the Wildwood, you can safely travel to where you need to go, especially if traveling out in the open is too dangerous. Origin of the Fae, Fairy Rings. The only safe rings to use are those with white flowers, white stones and white mushrooms. These rings will take you safely to wherever they end up. Pairs of fairy rings work together, creating a portal from one location to another. The grass inside a fairy ring will always be different than the grass outside of the ring. something to do with their portal quality and where they lead to. Pixie rings are technically fairy rings, but they do not have stones and always have tulips among the mushrooms. These rings shouldn't be trusted. Pixies are fond of pranks. Never destroy the mushrooms of a fairy ring, as it will cause great tragedy to you. If a fairy ring needs to be dismantled before it can be finished, the mushrooms sprout first. Carefully remove the mushrooms without breaking them. Put them in a plastic bag, seal the bag and dispose of it in the garbage. It will end up somewhere safe for the Fae to create a new ring. Origin of the Fae: fairy circles. Their only defining characteristic: a different grass type growing in a circle within another type of grass. Sometimes it is obvious, kikuyu growing in veldgrass, but the true fairy circle, the one created by the kushi, usually has a type of lily in the circle that still looks like grass to fool the eye. Fairy circles can take you wherever you wish to go, and do not need another fairy circle to deliver you safely at your destination. Fairy circles are rare. The kushi do not believe in allowing great power to be accessible to just anyone. A dead fairy circle will have nothing growing inside. It will be a circle of barren soil surrounded by grass. This can mean various things, but usually it means that all the magic in the area is depleted by a great battle, or that the kushi who had created it was dead and had been the last of their bloodline. Origin of the Fae: magic portals. Momentary, created by human magic users, warlocks, witches, druids, etc. Something strong has to be channeled to create these portals. Standing stones, meteoroids, the full moon, the blood, bones and scales of a dragon, etc. Origin of the Fae: caves and tunnels. Thanks to the dwarves and Duergar, what happens within the earth can be in either fairy or the mortal realm. Caves and tunnels can lead anywhere, even dangerous places no one should ever go. As a little bonus, let's look at magic portals in Afrikaans. Toverweë. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode of the Faeries and Folklore podcast, and that you've learned something new about fairy. Remember that you can get a transcript of this episode in the description. If you're new to the podcast, why not go and grab your free copy of Unseen, the second book in the fairy tale series, on my website, ronelthemythmaker.com. Loads of folklore, magic, and danger awaits. Take care.